Hello everybody. In this video, we are going to look at some of the ways that we can import data into Jamovi so that we can be able to do our data summarizations and some of our analyses. So sometimes data is very easy to pull into Jamovi, and sometimes you have to work at it just a little bit. So I'm going to show you a couple of the different methodologies that you can use to bring data in. So the first one, and the one that I like the most when it's formatted well, is you just go up to the top left, and we're going to say open. Okay, so we're going to say open, and we're going to browse, and we're going to look for a CSV file. So this first one I have just like a good format. We're going to click on this one, and we're going to click ahead and open. And notice how it says, okay, here's the wind speed, here's the weather type, and we're able to kind of look at our data and move ahead with it. When we open up the good format in Excel, this is what it looks like, where the first row is the labels, and then we have all of the information below that fills out our variable, and Jamovi imports that really, really well. So that's the first one, and then when we need to, we can then do our things like our descriptives, grab our wind speed, we can break it apart by the weather type, and we can do our calculations from there. So that's when data is really well formatted. Let me show you when data is not well formatted and some of the problems that can arise and how we can fix it. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead now and open. This time we're going to open up one that has no heading. Okay, so the only difference between the good format and the no heading is that the no heading doesn't have a heading. So let's go ahead and open it. Look at the difference here. Let's kind of open up these two. Okay, let's look at my data. Perfect. So these are identical, except if we looked at the no heading data, this one doesn't have any heading labels. This happens occasionally. Sometimes when people store data, they'll store the raw data in one file, and then they'll tell you what the columns mean in another file. It's a little rare, but sometimes it does happen, and you will see this, and you'll need to know what to do about it. So one of the clear, obvious ways that you've got an issue is like, look at your heading titles here. Notice how it says just clear here, and then it has a number. So what it took is it took the first row of data that we can see, and it used it as the heading. There's a couple ways that we can fix this. One is kind of like simple, and then the other is a little bit longer. So one thing that we could do is we could say, okay, we've got 16.863. We come down here and we type 16.863. It was clear up there, so we'll type here clear. Oopsies, clear. And then we can double click on the top here, and now we can say wind speed. And for clear, we can just say weather. Okay, and now we fixed it. The rows are out of order, but that doesn't matter as long as these two are together, because remember, each row in stacked data means that it is in fact that it is in fact an individual subject that we're dealing with. So as long as the subjects stay together, we can shuffle the order. All right, so that's one way you could have fixed it. Another way that you could have fixed this is you could have gone into the no heading data itself. We could have gone to the first row here, say insert, and now we could put our labels here as wind speed, and this one as weather. And now we could import the data and it would do it just fine. So be aware of that if you're like, yo, it's not working correctly, you can see that it didn't copy over correctly. Another way that you can copy the data in, let's say that we didn't fix this one, you can just highlight the first two rows, and then there's a keyboard shortcut that you can do. It's Control, Shift, and down, and it will highlight all the data. We can copy that data using like Control C, and then we can come into Jamovi, go to the cell that you want to start the paste again, do a right click and paste. It'll paste the data in, and then we can label columns C and D appropriately. So you can copy and paste things into Excel just fine, and then you just have to make sure that you label them correctly. Remember that when you double click on here, you have options. You can change it to like the data type that you're interested in. Most common ones we're going to use is like continuous and nominal, and those can help out. Also, when you click on your variables, if you need to change the order, let's say that you want rain or snow to show up first, like in a box plot or a bar chart that you're doing, you can click on rain and snow and you can move it to the first level. Jamovi defaults to putting things in alphabetical order, and this is how you can manipulate the order that the analyses show up in. Okay, there's one other way that that's common that we kind of have to be aware of, that we can run into issues with how Jamovi is putting in data. Jamovi just wants the numbers just literally in number format, and it can get kind of balled up if we have things like dollar signs in them. So let's go see what happens when we try to import something with dollar signs. So I'm just going to go click on this, open, oopsies, and I have a data set here that is called dollar format. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on that, and I'll click open. And right now I've got it in dollars, which looks like that it should be just fine, but notice how it sees it as like a categorical variable. And when I double click on it, I'm like, okay, I want it to be continuous. Notice how it just like deleted all my data. It's like, bye-bye, I'm going to take all that data away. It's like, that's not what I wanted. If I go back to nominal, it brings it back. Maybe if I say that it's let's do integer, nope, and then continuous or decimal and ordinal, and it's just kind of problematic. It's not doing what we wanted, because like a number is a continuous value. So it's obviously not working how we intended it. Let's close out of here. We won't save it. Let's go ahead and open this up in Excel and see what we can do, because Excel actually does a very good job of allowing us to change the format of our data. Let's go to the dollar format, and we see that there's like some errors in here. If we click on one and we go over to this little window, it says the number in the cell is formatted as text or preceded by an apostrophe. And if we click the down, we can actually convert it to a number, which is what we want. We're like, yeah, this is the cost of the food and it's a number. So let's kind of scroll down. We'll highlight our data. So I have everything highlighted, and I'm going to say convert to number. And now it has it converted to a number. And let's try this next step. Let's see, okay, now that it's storing as a number instead of a text, let's see if that works. So I'll just go ahead and save this as my number format. Let's come over to Jamovi, and let's say open, browse, and let's go to our dollar format and go ahead and click open. So now we've got dollar format with a comma in it, so that's a little bit of a difference. Let's double click on this and see if we say decimal, if we say integer, it's still angry at us with how the data is. We're like, okay, well, in Excel, there's another option that we can do. So I'm just going to click on this first one, do Control Shift down. So I have it all selected. Notice over here, when you go to your home, kind of in your ribbon, then you come over here to the option, you can see that, hey, there's some options of how I store my numbers or how I view them. Right now it says a currency. If I click this down arrow, I can just click as a number. Great. Okay, so now I'm storing this as a number instead of like as a currency format. Let's go File, Save on that. It's like, okay, so we had to change it from text. We had to change it to a just a number here, not as a currency. And we'll click Save. And now let's try to open it. Let's go Open. Come on over, Browse. We'll grab our dollar format. We'll open it up. And notice now Jamovi is very happy, and then it's like, oh, okay, yep, we're a number. We can treat you as numerical, and we can do our things like our explorations, our descriptives, and we can get means and medians and standard deviations and everything that we may need. So kind of how we upload our data in, we can either copy and paste it in, or we can open it up from like a CSV or an Excel file. When you do those, we need to be aware of that, do we have the labels or not? And when we bring it over, we need to make sure that it is formatted correctly. If Jamovi is having serious problems with the formatting, we can come over to Excel, because Excel does a much better job of letting us manipulate the format of our data. We can highlight our data, and we can change how it is viewed. We could say it being in dollar format. We can say it's in currency format. We can put it in all sorts of different formats, but the one that Jamovi really wants it to be in is number format, and that will allow us to bring it in and do the calculations that we want. So that should help you be able to, how do you get your data into Jamovi? You got a couple different options. copying and pasting directly into Jamovi works well, and then you just have to put the labels on it. Or also, if the data is formatted well inside of a CSV or an Excel file, you can just import it directly in by going to these three little lines and saying open. Yeah, and that's about it. So good luck on importing your Jamovi or importing data into Jamovi so you can do your analyses.